Do you know what I like to do when there's like 1,000 videos on YouTube talking about the PSA SGC deal? Well, I'd rather look at some baseball cards and talk about some athletes and some history. Before I begin, I want to send a special thank you to Father Son Vintage Cards. I bought a fantastic card, and I bought it from them. And they sent me that great card in a Mag Pro holder. And they sent me this. It appears to be a publication cutout of Dave Kingman autographed. I was a big Dave Kingman fan. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. They sent me a nice note. And now here's the card I got from them. It's just a fabulous card. It's the last big rookie I need for this set. And I'm really excited to get it. And it's the 1948 Bowman Marty Marion. Great shortstop on those great St. Louis teams. I think they won 3 World Series. Stan Musial, Enos Slaughter. It's a beauty. I think they upgraded theirs and got a signature on it. Thanks again. Fantastic card. Thing has double D centering. It's fantastic. Now, I did a recent video and I pointed out that I thought, that vintage football cards didn't get their due, may never get their due compared to baseball. And I pointed to two reasons that I think that. And some people disagreed with me, and I'll get into that. So the 2 reasons that I gave was, number one, because of the rule changes and game additions over the years, they're just, the older players are just never going to stack up statistically. And unless you're seeking out the history of these things and understand it, and you're like most sport fans and just look at statistics, they're never going to look like anything. They're never going to stack up to the modern guys. That's why all the modern leaders at quarterback and wide receiver, they're always going to be newer guys. And the second reason is I stated that I didn't think the NFL did a good enough job of really promoting the old players. And I know some people disagree with that, and I got a comment, I think it was TJ Mack, who said that the NFL Films does a phenomenal job of that. And that is true. That is absolutely true. But I don't know about you, but I haven't seen an NFL Films in decades. I don't know if they're still on, if they're on the NFL Network, but I don't get the NFL Network. I mean, that's something that not everybody gets. It's not easily accessible. And sure, if you go seeking knowledge, you could find it. But beyond that, it's not spoon-fed to us like it is in baseball. I think baseball does a much better job of that. When you're watching games, they talk about old players and old records and that kind of thing. In the NFL games, they don't. And they just simply don't. And I think one of the big reasons for that is the macro NFL, the new macro NFL. For instance, they used to have local sportscasters who announced the games. And those guys announced them for years and watched every game and knew everything about the local team. So when you were watching your local team, you learned about all the old players. You hear about that in hockey too when you're watching the local games. But now we have national guys doing it, right? Like in Pittsburgh, Bill Hillgrove just retired. He's been announcing games since I was a little kid, Bill Hillgrove. So they have that history, and they share the history of the local teams. But now you have Troy Aikman or whoever announcing your local games who don't know the history of your local team and don't talk about it at all. It's very macro now. So we've really lost that. And if you don't believe me, that people don't know the history of the NFL, let me ask you this: you know the first black player in Major League Baseball, right? And we don't have to go into Day Walker, but everybody knows that Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier. Who broke it in football? Who was the first black player drafted in the NFL? I mean, I'll bet there are more people that know that Elston Howard was the first black Yankee than there are that know the NFL players. I'll bet there are more people that know Larry Doby was the second black player and the first one in the American League than know who the first black player was who was drafted and who the first black player in the NFL was. Can you name them? In 1946, there were 4 black players that entered the NFL. They were Kenny Washington, Woody Strode, Marion Motley, and Bill Willis. Did you know that? Now, the most notable was Marion Motley. He was a big running back before Jim Brown for Cleveland, and an amazing running back. He averaged 5.7 yards a carry, and he also played some linebacker. And I've heard old timers say that he was the best linebacker on the team too, even though he wasn't the starting linebacker. And who was the first player drafted in the NFL? That's this guy. Drafted in 1949 by the Chicago Bears, but he opted to play for the Los Angeles Dons that year. I think he was drafted in the 13th round. Here's his 1952 Bowman. He has some beautiful cards. This is a beauty. So there's a little bit of football history for you. I want to show some other cards now. I had mentioned I had this one coming. This is the last rookie card I need for my 1958 set. Not last big one, I believe it's the last one, and it's John Roseborough. Now, he may be most famous, he was a catcher for the Dodgers, but he may be most famous for being the guy who got hit with a baseball bat by Juan Marichal. But this is a beautiful baseball card, and it's really tough to find a nice example. Really tough. I mean, if you look at 20 of them, you might find one that's really nice. So I'm glad to get that and finish that off. Thank you, Derek Hardball Crazy, for reminding me I needed that in the Mudcat Grant. And I got this this is a beauty, 1951 Gil Hodges. Is that thing beautiful or what? Beautiful example of that card. I got this Topps Now, and they memorialized this fantastic game Embiid when Wembanyama went up against him in the first game. Did I say his name right? Wembanyama. Hasn't come to flow off my tongue yet. But a great card. That was a great matchup. I love those kinds of historic moments, like the first time Yao Ming went up against Shaq. I went out of my way to watch that game. And somebody had commented recently about this set here. 1992 7-Eleven Sit-Go cards. That's what the pack looked like. And back then, everybody would issue cards. It was so great. and I just thought I'd show the set to you. I do have all these obscure sets from that era tucked away different places, and I never show them. Many of them are in binders, but I thought I'd show this one. And the following year, Citgo must have had some sort of, well, obviously a deal with Major League Baseball. In '93, this was the Texas Rangers schedule with Nolan Ryan on it. And as you can see, they sponsored the schedule. I do like to collect schedules with players on them. So here you go. I'm going to run through this real quick. Here's the Nolan Ryan. And these are in set order. Frank Thomas. And they're beautiful cards. Now you investors, I mean, you're not going to... This isn't going to be the Bitcoin of baseball cards. You can pick these up for nothing. Ryan Sandberg. But for anybody who just loves cards and doesn't want to pay a lot, these are great cards. Cal Ripken Jr. Roger Clemens. Cecil Fielder. He was the first guy to hit 50 home runs since George Foster did it. Dave Justice. Wade Boggs. Tony Gwynn. Wouldn't it be nice to see guys hit with their averages again? Kirby Puckett. We have one guy. It's kind of like a Tony Gwynn. More of a slap hitter, though. Darryl Strawberry, beautiful card. Canseco. Barry Larkin. Terry Pendleton. Don Mattingly, I love this one. I was a huge Mattingly fan. He was so fantastic when he came up. And Ricky Henderson. I'm the greatest in the world! Most boastful speech of all time. Ruben Sierra. Well, maybe next to Sally Field. Jeff Bagwell. Tom Glavine. I heard his brother was pretty good. Adam from Splendid Sports Cards told me. I don't know. Was his brother any good? Will Clark. Rick, you have this one? A fantastic Barry Bonds. I was sending these pictures to Nate. And Roberto Alomar. So that's the set. 24 cards. Yeah, 24 cards in the set. You can pick those packs up for next to nothing. But I thought I'd share those. So all this talk about the PSA buying SGC. Hitman 23 reached out to me. He's like, I'm waiting on your take on this, and I'm like, well, you're not gonna get it. You're gonna be waiting a long time because I don't care. Don't care. I don't even want to watch videos right now. I think I might take a little break and pick it back up in a little while because I'm so tired of these videos already. I don't know. You know, for me, I stopped grading cards a long time ago, and PSA has zero control over my hobby happiness. Zero. I won't lose 1 minute's sleep over this deal. Not 1 minute, because I don't care. Don't care to hear about it. Everybody's take on it, their predictions. You don't always know how these things are going to go anyway. So that's my take. Don't care. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me.